Good morning, everybody. You're tuned to Computers 2K now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Amnon, your host for the next couple of hours, along with Nick.
Oh, hi.
Oh, hi. And Katie's here.
Good morning.
Good morning. And I can't see his gal back. No.
Gal's getting something to drink.
Yeah, he's getting some. It's all right.
A little too early,
he's
but
with-
Gal's getting something to drink. Yeah. It happens.
Our number is 919-518-9773. Computers 2K voice on Skype. And today's show is made possible by vMix Software and is sponsored by Tom Sinclair of Live Streaming Gear. So Katie was updating us on her 3D printer.
Yeah, absolutely amazing.
Yo, hey,
Love it.
guys.
Hello, everyone.
Nick, what did you do this week?
Got everything back. I was away for a couple of days
Right.
in Dallas, so it was a lot of catch up and a lot of preparation. I'm off 3 days next week, or 3 days next week and the Monday for Labor Day. So 7 hours worth of on-air content that needs to be produced. Lots of fun.
Yeah, but you're a pro at that.
Yeah. Oh, I did television in Raleigh on Friday.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Well, you sound fine.
I don't sound well. Yeah, I don't know. I'm getting over a travel cold. That's always how it goes. You go to any like con or event, Katie. There's always like you come back. There's always a little something, a little tickle in the throat, little
Yep.
sore throat, stuffy nose. That's just the con flu as it's known.
Yeah, my body's been fighting stuff for a while.
Yeah. So
Interestingly enough, from the last con, that didn't happen to me, but flights for sure.
yep,
Yeah.
and that's what it was. Yeah. This wasn't even as con as it was a relatively small convention, less than 1,000 people, but flying, not sleeping, drinking, it all just coalesced to being sick.
Oh.
It's like a superhero task force. Everybody puts their arm in, like, no sleep, alcohol.
That's all right.
So yeah, that's what I've been up to.
Yeah, it's fine. So what else is happening?
I do they? I don't know if they have these in. I think they do have these in Raleigh. So have any of you guys ever rode the electric scooters that they have on the streets?
They have them, but I haven't been brave enough to try.
They're
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
I was putzing around in Dallas with them. And Dallas is obviously a ridiculously large city. I mean, it's like the third or fourth largest city in the US. It's huge. And they're pretty neat. You scan, there's a couple of different brands. So you download the app for the brand that you're going to use. I used an app and a service called Lime, Lime. They're all green bikes, as you can imagine, or green scooters. And it's pretty cool. You can, pay by the minute, some like 4.45 cents an hour or a minute or something like that, or you can buy a hour for $10 or something like that. It's a pretty convenient way. I had to go to visit. I had to go to an office that was about 1.5 miles away. I could have ordered an Uber and it would have been, like $8 plus another $2 tip or whatever. So instead, I just set up this Lime thing and putzed around town. It was pretty cool.
Nice. I've never had
Definitely
to
did
need,
not
need
follow
to
the
use
local
one.
regulation, but I'm not a local, so it didn't matter.
Yeah,
I think
I've never had to use one because every time I go someplace, it's always like I have to get there by car.
yeah. I think it's the same brand that manages the stuff on Raleigh.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
Yeah. I've never had to use it, but yeah, it is a convenient thing. I mean, I did a Segway tour in Charlotte once.
I want to
Okay.
do that.
Yeah.
Like when I was in school in Savannah, I would see people Segway all over the place, and at first I was like, "Oh, look at those weirdos," and then I'm like, "Wait, I'm jealous. I want somebody to Segway."
Do the Raleigh tour. I hear
Really?
it's interesting, and as locals, right? There's a lot we do not know about the local history. So it's like a fun way of getting to know that, being a tourist in your own town.
Yeah. Yeah, I know nothing.
Yeah, whenever I go to the ceremony for the Vietnam MIAs downtown, we always see those groups on Segway.
On Segways,
Just
yeah.
yeah,
It just looks fun. Maybe I just need to rent a Segway and go crazy because I doubt that's what the tour guide's gonna let me do.
If
the
you want to
other
go crazy, rent the scooter. You don't want to go crazy on the Segway, I don't think. I think you're relatively limited
I
on
don't
that.
think they let you because it's a group and you're supposed to stay within
No,
the.
I know. That's why I just need to find somebody that has a Segway and rent
Oh,
it.
Well, just go buy one, Katie. I mean,
No.
could be your new
I
business model.
no, I'd rather buy a couple more 3D printers than 5 minutes on a Segway. Well, I'll do it once and be like, "Oh, this is fun," and then never do it again.
Well, yeah, buy a few 3D printers and print a Segway.
Yeah, you know
Ooh.
what? I wasn't thinking. You're right. I'm gonna download and build one
Paul's a
myself.
man of action.
oh boy, yeah, right.
What have
Huh?
you been doing, Amnon?
I've been working on the new lawnmower that I got.
Oh, nice. What'd
I
you
mean,
get?
other than
Well,
work.
is it new or is it
No,
new to
no,
you?
it's used.
Of course. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, of course.
it's used. It's Scott John Deere,
Oh, nice.
and it needed some work. Needed the belt. Now I need to work a little bit on the uh, carburetor. It Friday when I cut the grass at the end, it started surging, and I was reading about it. That's what it is. But it rides nice, and it's fine. And I got my old one for sale. So, but I didn't get any bites on it yet.
That's
Facebook
another
Marketplace?
thing.
The what?
Where do you have it for sale?
It's a John Deere.
No, where? Like what marketplace are you
Oh,
selling?
I put it on Craigslist and Facebook
Oh, okay.
Marketplace.
Interesting.
That's
Yeah.
another thing I wanna,
The
ride or try as a John Deere tractor, so I might have to come over and cut a
tr-
little bit of your grass.
tractor. No, it's not a big tractor. It's just a
No, I know.
yeah.
Yeah, but it sounds fun,
Well,
for a little bit, and then I'll get too hot and
I found
come back inside.
I found out a couple of things that I didn't like. I mean, it's a nice lawnmower. I mean, it's really nice. It's a
Mhm.
mulching lawnmower, so it doesn't throw the grass out, and there's no bagger. It mulches it in place. The deck is completely enclosed, so you cut and you mulch it, and it falls back down, and that's how it does it. But I found out over the years that as I turn in a bigger and bigger circle, every time you go over at the edge of the lawn, you drive over. At the end, there is a thick layer of cut grass,
Mm,
and I always have to go later on and rake it out. And it's that was one thing. Those things are complicated. Those dicks, they have a timing belt that breaks about once a year, and you have to take the whole thing apart, the dick, and replace it. And I said, I'm getting too old for that. So I wanted
That sounds
one.
complicated.
Yeah, I wanted one that just throws it sideways. I don't even, I mean, it came with a bagger, but I took it off and it works great. I mean, it cut it really nice. I mean, it's the first time that I didn't have to go twice over the lawn.
Wow.
So yeah, so I've been just doing little bitty work here and there on it. And what else did I do this week? I don't know, help a friend move their stuff from an old Windows 7 laptop to a new Windows 11 laptop.
Oh, let's hear about that.
It was. I mean, it's not like he just got it, the Windows 11. He already had all the programs on it, and I just helped him move his data, and it went pretty good. Um, the only thing is, and again, this is not a technical problem; it's a user error. He has two computers, and he was using mainly the old one, but he was also using the new one every now and then. And I couldn't just, without spending a lot of time, I couldn't just copy like my documents over into his document file folder because I was afraid I'm going to overwrite something newer.
Sure.
So I put it in a separate. I put old documents and old contacts and old this, and I just made different folders and told him that whenever he wants to do it, he can just go to these folders and see it. But he also had the new Office that he got with that computer, which was completely different than the Office 2007, I believe, that he had on the Windows 7.
Oh, yeah.
And he didn't like that. And he couldn't find his doc. So he calls and I walk him through it and he finds it. And then I said, look, just move all the stuff over. And he did. And he said, it tells me that I have 5 files with the same name. I said, don't copy. Write down and remember what they are, and then you have to look at the dates and see which one is the newer one. So it took a couple of hours, but it went pretty nice. The only thing I couldn't do is move his email messages from the Windows 7 to the Windows 11 because on Windows 7 he was using Live Mail.
Ooh.
Yeah. And on the new one, it was using EM Client. So it didn't want to play. So I said, look, this computer is still working. If you do need these, you can forward them. If there's anything that you really want to have on the new computer, just forward it to yourself from one computer.
Oh, now hold on a second here. This
Okay.
is because he was using POP.
This is because he was using POP. Yeah.
This is why.
And what?
I'm a
Okay,
big fan of IMAP.
So if it was using IMAP, it was just link to that folder wherever it is.
The folder would be in the email server in the cloud, and when you log into a new device, it would download all of the. It's not going to download all the messages, but it will download what all the messages are. When excuse me, when you click on one, then it will download it from the server.
So it doesn't. I didn't know that. So it doesn't care what program it was actually being used for the IMAP because that's like a dumb terminal at that point.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
Live
IMAP is
Mail.
nothing more than. Yeah, I mean, IMAP is nothing more than the web server hosting it, and you
Right.
just pulling it every once
But
in a while.
no. But wait a second. When you use Live Mail to get email or to compose in the mailbox on the cloud, is it in a certain format that's just Live Mail can read, or is
No.
it completely generic?
It's completely generic.
I'll be damned.
I mean,
That's
it's no
another
different than-
good reason to use IMAP. Yeah.
There's no difference if you have your email client on your phone, and you draft an email.
Yeah.
and then you save the draft, and the draft goes to your server. Then you go sit down at your computer. You can open that draft. It's 2 different programs.
Right. I never used IMAP, so I mean,
Yeah.
I do on the phone, obviously, but
But I mean, that right there, you don't have to move email with IMAP. There's no such thing.
yeah. But okay, so now let's leave that here. And now, what happens? I had another customer that wanted to move providers, and he wanted to stop using Gmail and have his own account. Does Gmail allow you to download all your emails and
Yeah.
put them on your own? If I gave him an IMAP account for his domain name, then he can download all these and sort of like move them, so to speak, to his new account.
So the way to do that, there are several ways to do that. Probably the cleanest way is there are tools to copy across IMAP servers.
I mean, can you go to
these are
Gmail?
probably technical.
Can you
These
go
are
to
probably technical.
Gmail and somewhere, which I don't use, and download the email?
I mean, you can use Thunderbird, for example, right?
Yeah.
And download the complete, like synchronize your complete IMAP
Mailbox.
your client to via IMAP. You download your complete mailbox, and then you can treat these basically as file, drag and drop them on the new location. That's one way. Or use a tool that actually does it for you. Then, because usually we're talking about a huge amount of mails,
Right.
you want something that tracks what has passed and what does not, and prevent duplication and stuff like that. So drag and drop operation that might break in the middle isn't a good idea. And then you have like some sort of command line tool where you give it the parameters of one connection and the other, and it just copies over. But it's definitely possible. Another possible way is doing that won't necessarily preserve the labels, which is the folder structure in IMAP. But you can do a data takeout from Gmail, and you get a file as large
Explain,
as
what does
your
that mean?
entire.
Data takeout.
So data takeout is what Google calls extraction of your personal data for your own use, for your backup needs. They do not provide any particular way of restoring from that. But for mail specifically, each email will be a single text file that you can review. So theoretically, you can use that and you can upload it back to a service. But again, those require specific tools to do that.
Yeah, I'm
Possible. All of the data is accessible. It's possible. It's a pain in the ass, but it's possible.
because
And they
really,
make it a pain in the ass for a reason.
Yeah.
What, Nick?
They make it a pain in the ass for a reason, and they don't want you to leave. And there's not. I mean, there's no big provider that is going to make it super easy to move services. That's just not their business model.
Right. But search for an IMAP transfer tool. There's a bunch. It's a very common issue. There are a few open source tools. There are a few software as a service tools. You just punch in your credentials and it does it for you. Remember when I was looking to leave Gmail? I was diving that. I was successful in the process. I stayed in Gmail because they didn't close. They didn't
Right.
shut down. Right. They're still the most convenient one. However much I hate their practices, but I was able to migrate an entire, like 3 entire mailboxes, which were huge. So
Does Google still have? This has been years since I looked at this, but they used to have a thing inside of Gmail. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. Um, it was called. You can do a pop download
Yeah, you
inside
can.
of Google, and that's another way that you can do that, where you can configure a.
Yeah,
You
with pop
essentially
you're losing the directory structure though.
You would lose that extra, but you can
Yeah.
what you can do, Edmund, is you can pop. So I'm looking at my Gmail settings, pop download, enable pop for all mail that's already been downloaded. You can pop it into another server. So you would pop it all into your new web server and then turn off the pop download in Gmail, and then it will move all your stuff over automatically. But like Gall noted, you won't have any of that structure stuff.
Mhm.
There used to be a tool that takes a Gmail takedown
Mhm.
and uh and basically feeds a server an IMAP server. I don't think that exists anymore. That would be the most convenient one, but I think the safest one is the IMAP, um, the IMAP, the IMAP transfer tools. There's one called IMAP Sync. I think that's the most popular one. I think it is actually being maintained by. It was written by an old school, like really old school software geek, and while the software itself is open source, he sells services around that. So uh, so his website is really really detailed in a lot of stuff. So worth giving it a spin.
What is it called though? You know,
IMAP Sync.
IMAP Sync.
Yeah, but I'm guessing if you'll search IMAP transfer tool, it'll be, if not the first, it'll be in the top results.
Hmm. Yeah, it's been a long time since I had to do that for anybody, so I was
Yeah.
kind of.
I can tell you one thing, Amnon. If you uh, IMAP Sync is definitely a service that you can provide customers who wants. There's the term de-googling, right? Which is
De-googling.
this, yeah, which
Yeah,
is disconnecting Google from your life,
right.
right? And this is probably the number one service that people uh, uh, like keep last. This is the last service that they're still stuck on with Google, and that's Gmail. Right? Even if they disconnect from everything else, uh, this is one of them. So if you provide this as a service in your ISP, I think you'll discover that people are willing to pay a pretty buck to do that, to take them off their backs. So and setting it up isn't complex, not really, not for anyone familiar with enough tech.
Hmm.
So
Well, I'll look into it because we didn't do it yet. Very, very interesting. Thanks. This can teach an old dog new tricks.
well, it's a very old trick. It's IMAP to IMAP.
All right, let's dive here some of the news. The White House ordered federal agencies to shore up their cybersecurity after agencies have lagged in implementing a key executive order the president issued in 2021. Multiple federal departments and agencies have, as of the end of June, failed to fully comply with critical security practices prescribed by the executive order,
Now
leaving
hold
the
on a second.
yeah.
Hold on. Are you hold on? Are you trying to set the stage here that the federal government is not doing something in a timely manner, Amnon?
I'm not
Is that
setting
what you're
up the
indicating?
stage. I'm just reiterating it.
I find that highly offensive. But continue, please.
Leaving the U.S. government exposed to malicious cyber intrusions and undermining the example the government must set for adequate cybersecurity practice. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said in a memo to cabinet secretaries this week. So they keep telling us, and they have, what is that, CISA? Is that a government agency? I'm not sure, but they're the ones that come up with all the security and breaches news and everything. But Homeland Security, they all tell you to secure, 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 and they're not doing it.
Of course not.
Well, it's I'm not defending here the government. Let's start with that. They should uh, they should have been on this, like on every side of it.
Right.
But what they're discussing is specifically one of the first orders of the Biden administration in this area was implementing zero trust, uh, which is a concept that says uh, zero trust is a concept that means there is no implicit trust between systems when
Mhm.
they connect. There's a whole set of methodologies on how to do that, but it's a basic concept that says the fact that you trusted a user on one system doesn't mean that same user has free range on another trusted system, basically.
Mhm.
Uh, um, and between critical systems, there's still a way of passing the information of, okay, this user has connected to me through here. Now he wants to connect to you. There's a third party service that will authenticate all of that traffic, etc. Um, it requires knowledge, and it requires work,
Yeah,
right?
but they have those
To
people to do that.
Nobody has that people. So it's not just the government that isn't using this. Very few organizations are using
Yeah.
zero trust,
Yeah, but
right?
that's one thing.
Let's put it this way, Amnon. I'm sorry to out you, but your system does not use zero trust. And you also have your person to manage it, right? It's it's not only
That's, I mean, I'll argue that point because of the same thing that you were talking about. I mean, we have a few servers. If you have access to one, that's all you have access to. It doesn't pass it on to the other one. If you need access to the other one for any reason, you have to be set up in the firewall and everything. As a new user, it's completely separate. Now, the servers can talk to each other and get the information that they need to get. It's not open. But as far as users, no, there's I mean, if Gal has an account on the email server, the web server and the other web server don't know who Gal is. There's nothing. I mean, you wouldn't be even able to connect.
right, but your servers, they're exposed to the internet, right? Part of
Yeah.
zero trust means none of the servers are exposed to the internet. I'll
Oh,
explain
okay.
because it
Yeah.
sounds really weird.
Yeah.
None of the servers are listening directly on the internet. There's usually
Yeah.
an external perimeter that listens to
Right.
incoming connection. And so even if somebody breaks in, right, from any open port, they're only breaking into a perimeter that has no access in, because everything else is happening from
Correct.
the inside out.
Correct.
Your services, they reach out to that external service in order to consume incoming.
Yeah.
It's a backward
Yeah,
process.
okay,
So
I
that's zero
understand.
trust,
Yeah.
right? And it requires more than just a decree. The decree is awesome that it's there, right? But I do not think that other than the order, right, anything else was done. So yes, but
Yeah.
government will be government, right? As
Yeah.
Nick uh, uh, was riled up by the concept. Uh, the order was a good one, right? But it was clear that in the government realm, it'll take a long time until we'll see it
Something
implemented
like that. Yeah.
widespread. I wonder, I like the article, right? I would have loved if it would do a different thing and list the accomplishments of zero trust and where it was implemented properly. So even within the government, right, there'll be this um, interconnectedness and reaching out internally to understand how it was implemented in one organization to move it to another organization. I mean, it's not just one monolithic organization after all. We call it the government, but these are a lot of separate entities that need to work. And yeah, it's a
No.
complex thing.
Yeah, it's just if they use if they try to do something like that, as long as they're working on it, that's fine. But when you forget about it and put it like at the bottom of the heap of stuff to
Yeah.
do, that's a problem because things happen as far.
Always.
I mean, the bad guys are at it every day.
Yeah.
I mean, this week, I don't know if something came up or if a certain rule dropped or something, but the amount of attacks, the number of attacks on the web server, not the mail server, the web server, was up probably 10, 20 times what normal. I mean, I had to spend a lot of time. And what I do is I have a system where if you are coming in and you're trying to go somewhere and you fail, you get added to a blacklist that will not allow you to connect, period. That's it. It just drops you. But a lot of these are only for like maybe 6 hours a day, things like that. I take ones that I see repeatedly and I add them to a blacklist that never expires. But I have to do that manually. So it takes time, but it was just absolutely ridiculous. And these guys just keep on attacking and attacking and trying. And as far as email also, there is suddenly a whole lot of emails coming in. Your Netflix expired, but we give you another blah 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 blah. Or your there was a story about that. What's the name? Dropbox changes their way of doing it. There's no more free Dropbox. And emails. Your Dropbox is full, but we give you another 5 gigabytes. All you have to do is click on this link. And these are things that these guys are not waiting. I mean, they are up to everything that's going on, and they said, "Okay, let's manipulate that. Let's take advantage of that." Everybody that's into security needs to keep up. It's a never-ending task to do that, and you hope that your taxes are paying for these people that do that kind of work. That at least the government agencies, and there's not that many of them, can do the work and can protect us because they always want our information. But hey, what do you do to keep it? I have to pass all kind of different things, like when I take a credit card, all these pre-screening and stuff that the company, the processor does to me. and I have to make sure that I am guarding these, that nothing would happen with them. What the government? I don't know if the government is doing that.
I I
So,
would venture and say they are doing that in new systems. They're not doing it in the old.
well, then change the old to the new. Ah, but
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
this is like,
But then we'll complain that the new
yeah,
one isn't
uh,
working, right? It's
yeah,
it's politics
yeah,
eventually.
I have a question.
yeah,
You mentioned Dropbox.
yeah. So here's
Um,
the story. You want to hear it?
oh, about Dropbox?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Dropbox, a provider of online data storage, is ending its unlimited option, saying a small handful of customers were using massive amount of resources. Oh yeah, that's the unlimited, not the free. I'm sorry. Uh, an amount of resources that had the potential to degrade the cloud service for the rest of its clients. The company highest tier, all the space you need storage plane will be capped at about 5 terabytes per user for new customers, the company said in a blog post. So yeah, it's not the free. It was something else about free that changed. It wasn't Dropbox, but there's no more all you can eat kind of thing.
Hmm. Hmm.
And they were talking about that a lot of people keep their cryptocurrency on Dropbox, and it's just like massive amount of data that hey, you pay a little bit money and you have unlimited storage. Why not?
Yeah.
5 terabytes is a lot
Yeah.
of
Well, I'm looking at my plan right now.
yeah.
I do, I guess, the basic plan, which is one user, 2 terabytes, and it's $120 a year. Uh, so I love using Dropbox. For me, it's very convenient because I have it
Mhm.
hooked up to my computer. In fact, I don't even put stuff on my computer anymore. I use it on Dropbox.
Right.
Well, the stuff that I'm not accessing every day. So obviously, the downside to that is that if you lose internet, then you're gonna lose access to it. My cat.
That's always the problem with
Yeah.
cloud services and all that. Yeah, but
But I have a question. So I've been using Dropbox exclusively for I don't know since they I guess since they came online. I've been using it I don't know, almost 10 years, I guess. I don't know how long they've been around. Are they still the premium option? Or is there somebody else I could go to? What I'm looking for a cloud service is what I love about Dropbox is that it's almost like it's not cloud service. Like I just open up my Explorer, and when I need my files, I click on the Dropbox, and it's like looks like my regular computer. It's $120 a year for $10 a month for
yeah.
2 terabytes, and I haven't gotten close to 2 terabytes. But is it still good to use? Is there something else out there? I don't know.
I mean, all of the top tier options, they're pretty much the same. Google Drive, Dropbox, Box, OneDrive,
I think
and
Katie is
your
asking if there's something that she should switch from Dropbox to something else that is
Mm,
better. I don't know.
about better. No, they're pretty much the same.
Okay.
None of them experienced any huge data loss recently, so they're all preserving your data. Let's put it this way: what you're getting for that $10 a month, you're getting a very robust storage backend.
Yeah,
Something that to set up on your own would probably,
be a pain in
for
the
a
butt.
small scale, would probably cost you approximately the same for 3 years or something like that. Okay. Uh, but you said you're using them for 10 years, right?
Yeah, I've been
So,
using drop. So this is what happens, and is my problem as a consumer is that I find something I like, and I keep using it, and I don't ever check. Like as long as it doesn't mess up or whatever, I just get complacent. And uh, like it's the same thing with subscription services. Like I've had Netflix forever, and they keep raising the price. And I don't know if I'm gonna cancel or not, but like uh, if there hasn't been like an alternative, and because I'm not paying attention, maybe there is something that's better or something that I missed. I don't know, but it sounds like it's not. It sounds like Dropbox is still steady.
yeah, yeah. Their Box and Dropbox are, I think, the leading ones in this industry. Everybody else is catching up, basically. The alternative, the better one, is to set up a server that you control with another server at another location that you control, and have them being synced and have them being monitored. Now, I'm saying this is a better solution in terms of cost, but you need the know-how, right? So that's why, yeah, keep on using Dropbox.
Then I would keep using Dropbox.
As long as you trust them.
I'm very satisfied with my service with them. I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
didn't know if something else was
That's
out
what
there.
counts. If you're satisfied, that's what counts. That's
There's
a
gotta-
good feeling.
There's got to be a consumer term for complacency with a product that like you just use it all the time, or like you've used it for so long that you don't think about switching or whatever.
Mhm.
I don't know what that term is, but
There's one thing
Well,
I'll
loyal
say, Katie.
customer. Sorry,
Sure.
go ahead.
You're not paying for Gmail Premium or
no.
like an Outlook account, right?
No.
Okay. Yeah, that would be the only thing, is if you're paying for Google, if you're paying for a Google account, you have, you know, it's probably a significant amount of Gmail storage, or the same thing with OneDrive if you have
I
a
do
paid
use
Outlook
Google Drive, but I use their free stuff.
Yeah,
And
then I
Google
would stick
Drive,
with Dropbox.
yeah, Google Drive is very temporary when I use it, but it's really good for sharing stuff. But I don't use it as my main thing.
I use OneDrive a lot for work. You know, we have our email domain is on Office, so it's part of my you know
It's
part of my email service that I get. And I'm surprised. I obviously I do a radio show, so I play a lot of audio, and I do a lot of that here. And I just upload it. I don't have OneDrive installed on my computer here, but I do have it installed on the studio computer at the office. So I drag my files into OneDrive, and then when I get to work, I can just drag those files straight into VLC and play them. The syncing and stuff is very, very convenient. And like Dropbox and Google Drive, it all works like that.
Did you ever get into a situation where you went to work and, oops, I can't get to my OneDrive?
It happened once when the company accidentally delicensed my account to like some like contractor license, and I lost all my storage. But no, not that was not a OneDrive issue. That was somebody screwing with the licensing of my account. They're probably trying to fire me, and then they realized after they'd already delicensed it, oh, we're not going to fire him, so let's just oh, whoops, I forgot to roll him back. So.
All right, so there you go, Katie.
Awesome.
Nick, you ready for specials?
I am.
All right.
You know, we all love taking public transportation. What stop are you going to? Well, you're going to the setup utility from America Megatrends. A little BIOS action going on there for whatever whatever this is supposed to be showing. Presumably the next stop.
That's in a bus, huh?
It is in a bus, yeah. And you can see the runtime on this thing: 9,286 hours. So this thing's absolutely chugging along, doing what it's doing. But obviously the OS, the BIOS has outlived the OS in this case.
It's trying its best.
It is trying its best. It's doing the Lord's work. All right, let's take a look at a couple of devices. I put some cool things in here this week. Starting off, just a regular laptop. There wasn't anything all that amazing on special this week. This seemed like a pretty decent deal, however. There's a lot of questions about Acer products. They seem to be a lot better than they were maybe 5 or 7 years ago. This is the Acer Inspire 3. Spec-wise, this thing is pretty impressive. It's got an AMD Ryzen 5 7520U. That's a relatively new gen Ryzen processor. It does only have 8 gigabytes of memory by default, so you'll probably want to upgrade that. I don't know. When I bought my laptop, Gal, you mentioned to me that I needed to get 16 gigs of RAM, and I'm prepared to do that. But I've been running 8 for as long as I've had it, which has been over a year now. I have not run into any issues yet where, I'm slowing down. Now, I will admit it's not my daily driver. I'm not using it all the time, but whenever it goes around in my backpack with me, and anytime I pull it out, there has not been a problem where it's been super slow or I can tell that I'm out of memory. So it just depends on your use case and your mileage may vary. It's also got a 512 gigabyte NVMe. They call this their thin and light laptop. I'm gonna call it bullshit because it's not really that thin. It's a little bulky. I mean, it's not like a gaming laptop bulky, but it's definitely not thin. It does not even have a taper towards the front. This thing is is a straight rectangle from the back to the front. In terms of ports and connectivity, it's got a full size HDMI, which I'm surprised with. It does charge via a regular barrel connector, so no USB-C power delivery. It does have two USB Type A ports. Those are USB 3, a combo headphone microphone jack, and just one single USB-C port, which is could be a problem if you're trying to connect a whole bunch of different devices to it. Normally $599 on Best Buy, on sale for $350, but that's only good for the next 14 hours. So you'll have to get on that today if you want to pick up that special. 350 over
I
at
got a
Best
question.
Buy. Yeah.
So the Ryzen in Intel we count the generation.
Mhm.
In Ryzen, what counts is the generational number is by the first two digits. So this one is the 7500 series. That's
Ye-
not the latest generation, right?
It is it is not so 7,000 is you're right. It's not the latest. It would be one generation behind because the
Oh,
most
just one.
recent, yeah, because the current Ryzens I believe are the um 79 and 77, I think, are the current Ryzens. So it's
I see.
only a generation or two behind. So it'd be the equivalent of maybe a 11th or 12th gen I series. Well, not exactly. They don't release their revisions as quickly as Intel does.
Right.
Um, but it's a relatively new process. You're not getting a 5-year-old processor on this thing. Um,
Cool.
so well, actually, I can tell you exactly.
Oh, here I see. It's part of the 7020. So yeah, I wonder if if 7220, 7520 is the same as 7020.
I will look that up after special just to see if I
And
can.
with all that bulkiness and thickness, they didn't even put a Ethernet
Okay,
port.
Yeah,
so
September 2022.
yeah, so this is chips one. It's not even a year old yet.
Hmm.
So a relatively new chip on this. And what did you say? I'm not no
I said
Ethernet
with all
port.
that thickness and bulkiness that you're talking about, that it's not that thin. They did not put an Ethernet port, huh?
No, which I'm surprised with because they could have easily fit
Yeah,
one of the ones where the bottom kind of springs out where you can
yeah,
plug it in. There's
right.
definitely room for it, but they did not. So
Yeah,
you'll have to get a USB-C or USB A
yeah,
to Ethernet
yeah.
adapter to hook that up. Not a bad deal for 350
No,
over at Best Buy. Next up, Sam's Club members. Here's a Vizio 4K LED HDR smart television. It's the smart side of it is just the Vizio built-in smart TV, which suffices. I mean, it's got all of the major apps and everything. It's not a Roku, it's not an Amazon Stick, it's not an Apple TV, but it will suffice for doing pretty much anything that you would want to do. $399 available over at Sam's Club. This thing is pretty cool. These are called the Bose excuse me. These are the Bose frame Tempo Sports sunglasses. They've got polarized lenses and they're Bluetooth speakers built into them. So you can see on the side here, they've got
yeah.
a pretty girthy ear band where they go back to your ear. And that's because on both sides of these sunglasses, they have got Bluetooth speakers. Now, in terms of what this thing is, this is not the equivalent of um, putting a tying a Bluetooth speaker around your neck because these things are touching your face. They're sunglasses. They've got, I guess, cochlear might be the right word to use. where it
Bone conduction.
yeah, bone conduction in some regard, of how it works. So if the use cases for this, they show people running and biking and jogging and all of that stuff. So hey, if you're a you're in the marketplace for a pair of sunglasses and you're sick of running around with Bluetooth earbuds or whatnot that are constantly falling out, this might be a way to do it. So this is on sale, pretty deep discount, 50% off. This is normally 250. It's on sale for 125, available over at Amazon. It's got just shy of 2,900 reviews, and it's got a 4.6 star. And the fact that Bose is making it, it's not going to be a piece of junk. I mean, they are not in the marketplace of producing garbage. So that is available for 50% off, available over at Amazon. This is a pretty cool power bank, and you can get there are millions of power banks that you can buy on Amazon. What I found cool about this one, so not only is it 6,000 milliamps, which is pretty significant, but the top of it is a wireless charger. So you can either plug it's got one port on it, just a USB-C for charging and for pulling power out of. But instead of having to have it tethered, if you're in a place like you're at a restaurant or whatever, and your phone needs a little bit of a top off, you just lay this thing down on the table, lay your phone down on top of it, and it's a regular wireless charger like you would see in a bedroom or on a desktop or anything like that. So pretty cool. I actually used one of these this past weekend. A buddy of mine had one with him when we were in Dallas. It was just convenient not to have to screw around with having a cable that's all over the table and just kind of a pain. So this is normally 34.99, so $35. There's a 20% off coupon, a 5% off coupon, and a promo code that will get it down to $21, available over at Amazon. So pretty cool little device there from Base US. They've got a couple of other products on sale as well. Some larger power banks, 30,000 milliamp hour ones if you need a big boy charger. Speaking of chargers, how about an EcoFlow River 2 portable power station? The EcoFlow is kind of I'd call them the industry leader in these what are called solar generators or power inverters. They're kind of leading the charge on that. This is a 768 watt hour unit. It has an AC output of 800 watts with a cranking force of 1600. So when you're starting an air conditioner or a refrigerator or something of that nature, you need those cranking watts for the what's causing that, Amnon? The compressor
Just
kicking on,
starting. Yeah,
the
the surge.
starting,
Yeah.
yeah, from the unit starting, and then the wattage comes way down. So 800 watts of power. It provides up to 1.8 kilowatts a day with solar charging as well. Weighs about 17 pounds. You can see you get four 120 volt outlets right on the front of it, a couple of USB A's, a USB C, and then a plethora of ways to charge it, including regular AC input. A lot of folks are using solar panels to connect to these, and you can also daisy chain EcoFlow's battery. They sell just an external battery that you can connect into this and get more capacity as well.
And
Normally six.
is
Say
the
it again.
top of it a solar
No,
panel?
it is not. No, the
Okay.
solar panels are separate.
Okay.
And you can
So the price of it,
the price of it, it's normally $599. You can get it for $449 from REI. REI is a big outdoor retailer. They sell camping
mm,
and fishing supply stuff and whatnot. So yeah, pretty cool deal. We're in the middle of hurricane season right now. We're going to be dealing with some impacts of what is going to be known as Hurricane Idania or something like that later in the middle part of this week. From this is coming up from the Gulf. So something to definitely keep in the back of your mind. I'm really torn on buying one of these, not the EcoFlow one because I'm a cheap bastard, but one of these big one of these big, they're called solar generators, even if they're not solar.
So question though,
Yeah, hit me.
is this something that I could use at a con to like do a screen, or because I've been trying to think of ways of like doing digital screens or lights and stuff like that. Would this be able to handle that, or would I need
Yeah,
like a generator?
Probably,
I
yeah.
I wouldn't get this one for you, Katie. There's some brands that make ones that are like $120, $200. They're like kind of like cheap Chinese knockoffs.
Hmm.
But yeah, I guess you need to figure out what you're powering, like how much wattage you're going to be pulling, and that will determine what unit you need. But they sell cheap ones, and then the EcoFlow is kind of the Rolls Royce of the solar generators that you can get.
Okay.
So figure out what
Yeah.
you're figure out what you're plugging in, how much watt hours it draws, how long your cons are, and you can obviously charge it up at your hotel or your house the night, for a 2 or 3 day con.
Nice. Because
So
what's ridiculous is at these conventions, you can get power to your booth, but it's like on average $200.
yeah,
Yeah.
And
and that's because they have a union that has to connect it. That's why it's so expensive.
I'm like, Jesus. Okay, yeah. So
Okay.
So I've been to Costco this week
Okay,
and I saw a very similar box like this from Energizer, the battery company.
Energizer, really?
Yeah. With solar panels
Wow.
for it was either this price or a bit lower. Like I don't remember. I'm sorry. I wasn't thinking about the show. But definitely check out your local Costco warehouse right now and see if that suits your need.
how dare
Excellent.
you not be thinking about the
I
show?
know.
I mean, that's what I wake up morning, noon, and night. It's all about. Hey, I'm not on computers 2K now. I can't get them off my mind.
Exactly.
All right, so that's available over at REI. So I've actually got a this next thing. I know, I'll close your ears because this is a Wi-Fi device, so you can shun me later. I don't care. My father actually bought one of these. Obviously we talk about Home Assistant. We're using Home Assistant, but it's not for everybody. Most people don't want to roll out the infrastructure, so they're looking for something that is just plug and play. And the good news with this is from Govee, and Govee makes a boatload of products. They are making, they're not going anywhere anytime soon. I think it's safe to say they are one of the more industry leaders. Their big thing are smart lights. And you've seen them probably advertise on some of your favorite YouTube channels and whatnot. They make dozens and dozens of LED lighting products. But this is a pretty cool device. This is a water sensor set. Now, there's water sensors have existed forever, but most of them will just chirp an alarm. And if it's in a basement and you're, under a washing machine 3 stories down, you might not hear it. You might not be home.
Mhm.
So Govee makes this unit. It's pretty cool. My father's got one of these. He's tested it. He hasn't, fortunately, it hasn't actually it hasn't had to be used by any devices leaking, but he did test it, was pretty happy with it. So you got 4 things that come in this. You get 3 sensors and then what is essentially a gateway or a bridge that you plug in as well. So you plug the bridge into just a regular wall wart outlet, and then you connect that to your Wi-Fi, and then it connects to the Govee water sensors, it's probably 950 megahertz or something like that. Um, so what you do is place these water sensors in your hot water heater's pan, under your washer and dryer, wherever next to a sump pump, wherever water might be an issue. And when there's water detected, not only does the Govee hub make the noise, so the alarm is built into the hub, which you could put on a floor above, where you're staying. Um, but it also will send a notification to your smartphone because it's Wi-Fi connected. So if you're away from home or if you're at work, you can rush home and get it squared away. Normally $55, on sale for $35 directly from Govee's website. There's a promo code in the Slick Deals link. So plus you can buy additional sensors. You can have up to 10 sensors per gate, excuse me, per gateway. And you can get alerts via email, via the smartphone app. It's a pretty cool system available from Govee directly.
So
Kyle, what are your thoughts?
first of all, it's not Wi-Fi. The hub is Wi-Fi.
Correct.
So I think if I'm reading the website description, the sensors themselves are Bluetooth.
Okay, that would make sense. Yeah,
So
something.
that just means short range, very short range.
Yeah.
Like
I don't think it'll
yeah,
go 3 stories up.
Well, you wouldn't put it. You don't need.
Maybe.
You wouldn't put it 3 stories up. You put your Wi-Fi bridge,
Yeah, in the
in the middle
center
of your house.
of
Yeah,
yeah.
which is what they've done. They've got their Wi-Fi bridge in their living room, and then their sensors in the basement.
Yeah, I'm guessing their business is selling these bridges because the more bridges you have, the more area you're covering. And so any sensor that will connect to it. But yeah, the price is very low compared to other sensors that you can buy, right? And the investment isn't high. You are relying on their system. So take
Sure.
that into account. I do not know, for example, of a way of converting the hub, let's say, to Home Assistant or something like that, where you can take control later. But yeah, if sounds like a great deal.
Yeah, if you're looking for plug and play and don't want to screw around with anything else, this is the way to go. And the good news about it at $35, when in 10 years when Gobi's out of business and it stops working, it's pretty simple. You just throw it away and buy something new. You're not out hundreds or thousands of dollars.
Right.
All right, finally, next up, who wants to hear? So there's a couple ways you can pronounce this. Hiercool. Hiercool. I don't know how you pronounce this Chinese company that makes
Higher,
this
cool.
USB. Okay, there you go. This is just a traditional standard USB-C dongle. You get a couple of actually, you get a plethora of ports on it. You get a full-size HDMI. You get a USB-C charging port. So this will do power delivery if your laptop supports it. You get 2 USB 3.0 ports, a full-size full-size SD card slot, a micro SD card slot. It does not have Ethernet, which kind of sucks. Most of these do have Ethernet, but this one does not. So be advised of that. But you can connect a second display, 4K 30 hertz. So that's the output resolution that this supports. Hard to beat for $10, however. It's kind of hard to complain. That's available over at Amazon with a promo code from Slick Deals. And that's special.
These are getting dirt cheap, though, huh?
Oh
It's
my God, yeah.
ridiculous.
$10. Jeez.
Yeah, no Ethernet is a weird choice of something to drop out, but then again, for travel, not a big deal. Interesting.
So, Gal, is this what you saw at Costco?
Yeah, I saw on the website it's
Yeah, it's
extremely
$1,000.
pricey, so I don't know if
Yeah.
that's the one I saw, but it was something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So scratch that. Seems like the Costco one is like way, way more expensive. But I was thinking it was an interesting solution. Yeah.
I'm sure they do sell some other ones though.
Yeah. And keep in mind what you see on the website is not the price at the warehouse, but still,
True.
it's just way too expensive at this point.
Yeah, there's 2 big brands, Jackery and EcoFlow, that are kind of controlling the marketplace on it. But like I noted, if you go to Amazon and search for a power inverter, it's weird how the names have changed.
Yeah,
But,
I saw Anchor is selling on
oh,
Amazon
Anchor-
some like that. Yeah.
Yeah, Anchor makes them as well.
And Anchor has excellent support, right? So
They
if
do.
something goes wrong, they're on it.
Yeah. So you can get them as cheap as like maybe $200 for something that's small. And then up to you can spend $1,000 or more. What the hell is this?
You just get bells and whistles.
Look at this thing. What is the use case? It's a solar panel with a wind prop.
It's a fan to cool you down. Duh.
It's a solar wind generator. But what is the port? What the hell?
It also can feed a device.
You know,
So
So
this is
why the fan?
120 volt output on this cable?
That's what
Yeah.
it seems like.
Oh, it's for oh, that's an interesting concept. It's for little electric scooters and whatnot. That's actually an interesting concept because you're moving and
it's
in the sun.
charging.
Huh.
I'll be damned.
Well, let's
So it's
see.
charging
There's
by wind and solar. That's the
at the same
idea.
time. Yeah, I guess so. And it says it supports up to a 10,000 watts output. I don't believe that for
Yeah,
a second. Well,
sure.
let's
Mm,
see. There's no reviews, and it's very cheap. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
So
say,
hot garbage.
yeah. I
Somebody
mean,
had a 3D printer and some soldering skills and
well, let's
made
see.
a contraption.
if you
This is
take
how the brand describes themselves. Our shop is dedicated to selling high quality kitchen, garden, pet, art, craft, and baby supplies. I don't know where this solar generator falls into that category, but it's gonna help your Teflon will be your good helper in your life.
It's Tnufone.
Neon,
Nufine.
Tenfoon or
Nufion.
whatever.
Yeah, somebody didn't check vowels. Vowels were expensive. Oh man.
Huh. Well, there you go.
yeah.
Available at Amazon.
All right.
No, but I want to. Can we? I do want to go back to these solar
Okay,
things
go
because I
ahead.
think they're interesting. I'm going to post a video in the chat. Don't watch it now unless you want to. There's this guy. God, you've probably seen him before. The 8-bit guy. He lives down in Texas. He's a big retro YouTuber. He published a video this week. He's got he's got a couple of these EcoFlow units, some batteries, and some various things. And he did a 24-hour test as if he had lost utility power. So he literally shut his breakers off, and had his house, has various parts of his house wired through these solar panels, or through these EcoFlow devices, which he's generating in some cases during the peak of the day upwards of 3,000 watts worth of power through solar. And this is becoming more and more seemingly feasible. Now obviously, yes, you can go and have some guys come in and for $15,000 they'll put solar panels on your roof, put a big inverter in your garage and do that. But you don't really need to do that. I mean, you can buy these EcoFlows and some of their additional power packs for maybe 2 or 3 grand to get all of that set up. And then a lot of people are selling and buying solar panels secondhand because they're coming off of people's roofs. Roofs are getting damaged and the panels are coming off. So for I'd say probably less than 5 grand, you can set up a relatively um, how do I describe this? It's not the sexiest solution. It's not the most convenient solution necessarily, but you can wire up, an office or parts of your house running off these things, and they run 24/7. So you're just no you're saving you potentially be saving $100 a month or so on your power bill, depending on what you're powering with it. So it's definitely something to take a look at. It's definitely a cool little hobby to be off the grid a little bit. Um, so there you go.
Yeah.
I find
Okay.
it fascinating.
Um, Microsoft's August 2023 preview updates for Windows 11 and Windows 10, labeled as KB 5029351 and KB 5029331, respectively, have led to blue screen errors citing an unsupported processor problem. This is coming from Bleeping Computers.
They stopped supporting Intel CPUs.
Microsoft has received reports of an issue in which users are receiving an unsupported processor error message on a blue screen after installing update released on August 2nd. The company also added that the problematic cumulative update might automatically uninstall to allow Windows to start up as expected. Microsoft is investigating the newly acknowledged known issue to find out whether it stems from a Microsoft related cause. The company also urged users encountering these blue screen error to file a report using the feedback hub. So if after you did a an update, you start getting blue screens. Don't start looking at your computer. It's something else.
That's true after any update, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, right. Yeah,
At least the OS, I mean, at least the OS will know to, like, after I think it restarts twice with that, it reverts back to the previous state. But of course, there's sometimes issues with preserving the state before the installing the
right.
upgrade and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it? I was thinking about something that's related. You go on. I'll
All
I'll
right.
figure it out.
Um, there's some changes in Gmail. Gmail only asks for your user credentials during the initial login, and that login session can last for weeks at a time. That's not as secure as it could be. So soon, Gmail will start posting 2FA challenges if you try to access any sensitive settings, even when you're already logged in. The newly protected settings are for filters, account forwarding, and IMAP. Soon, poking around in any of these options will boot you into a verify it's you 2FA prompt. And you'll have to pass the challenge on your phone. These settings are only available on the web. If this 2FA challenge is failed or not answered, you'll get a bright red critical security alert pop up alerting you to the attempt on all your trusted devices.
Sounds
So,
okay.
yeah, I mean, it can be a little annoying when you're in the middle of something and you're doing something and it comes up,
Well, it
but
doesn't sound like it's you're in the middle of something. It's when you're going to actual setup. So you're still logged in. They do not say they're gonna boot you. Let's put it this way: if they are not logging me out, so I have two. I manage
okay,
two
yeah,
types of Gmail accounts. I manage some accounts that are on public Gmail, the free one.
right,
Okay, and I have the workspace account, which is on my domain. Okay, and that's where I spend most of my time. The problem I have with the workspace account is I haven't looked into it, but at one point Google started just giving that session a very limited time span. Something like every week or every 2 weeks I need to log in. Drives me nuts. I do not care, and I understand that it's a security risk, but I want to control it, right? And I have zero problems with my web browser staying connected and hooked up to that session without needing to log in again, right? So I understand the security risk. I want to control it. On the Gmail side, though, it can be a year before it asks me to log in again, right? So for the public, they have set a very long-lived token, and when you do that and you do not check in the middle for sensitive actions, that is a problem. And so I like the idea if they keep it the long-lived session on and settings are going to require some sort of prompt. That sounds fantastic. That sounds really good for me.
I guess we'll wait and see.
Yeah.
Yep. And Google also is testing a new feature in the Chrome browser that will warn users when an installed extension has been removed from the Chrome Web Store, usually indicative of it being malware. So if it's installed already and then it was removed, you will get a notice. Neat. Let's see what else we have here. Oh, yeah, this is kind of bad. A newly discovered zero day in the widely used WinRAR file compression program has been under exploit for 4 months by unknown attackers who are using it to install malware when targets open booby-trapped JPEGs and other innocuous inside file archive. So if you are using WinRAR, it will to unzip a JPEG. This will happen. I'm sure this has to do with the new WinRAR. I use WinRAR, but it's about 5, 6 years old. I don't know.
Yeah, same.
Why are you using WinRAR? Can I ask?
Uh, the only one that I have to.
Why not 7-zip?
7-zip is also there, but sometimes it opens WinRAR automatically. I don't know what the reason, but yeah, I use 7-zip. You're right.
Yeah, I mean, an
7-zip.
open source solution,
Yeah.
peer reviewed. I don't get why people still. The thing is, when you're using WinRAR, Amnon, and
Yeah.
correct me here, I'm outing you again. You have never bought a license, right?
Nope. I have to
It is
click. I
shareware.
always have to click on.
Same.
Yeah, but it's shareware for 30 days, right? So you're right that you need to click, and that's all its limitation. But license-wise, right? After 30 days, you must pay.
Well, I really don't think I've used it for 30 days. It's probably 2 minutes here, 3 minutes there. So it's over
It
the
doesn't
years.
matter,
It takes
and you know it
forever.
doesn't matter.
Wait, I'm confused. All I do is just right click on a zip file and I say unzip, and it opens up WinRAR and unzips it, and then I'm done.
Right. WinRAR was created specifically to handle RAR files, right?
Yeah.
And when it came out, it introduced RAR to the world, and RAR became really, really, really widespread. That's fine. And all kudos to them. They own the patent for RAR and all that. And I completely understand, right? And I support them. But if you're not buying the shareware, why are you using it? Like, why use WinRAR? Why not use another tool? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So
I think the only reason
you're
I had
either
it.
supporting them and you're buying them, and all like fantastic. I applaud you, right? But if you are using WinRAR and not paying, that's literally stealing. So use something open.
R.
Then I'm stealing.
R.
The
Yeah.
only reason I was using it was because, like you said, it
Yes,
came with
I'm.
RARs.
You're right. Whenever I invoke manually stuff to do it, it's 7-zip. But I see WinRAR every now and then.
Install it.
Yeah. Yeah. After this, well, I'm not worried about it because, like I said,
I'm doing
it's
it
an
right now.
old version. I don't think I update it.
Yeah, the old version probably has 10 other
Problems?
exploits
Maybe.
that are there that have
Yeah.
been fixed throughout the years. Come on.
Yeah.
By the way, I don't know if I mentioned this, but keeping software updated in Windows, right?
Yeah.
Other than Windows Update, um, Windows 11, it also exists in Windows 10, but Windows 10 requires some installation of it. Windows 11 comes baked in with a system called WinGet, in which you can go to the command line and you can type WinGet and the name of the software, the ID of it, and it'll download it and install it. Very similar to how you would do things in Linux, right? And I'm pretty sure I talked about it in the show in the past. But what I want to introduce is there's an open source project. By the way, WinGet itself, Microsoft's WinGet, is based on open source code that they share with the world, which is nice and all that. But there's an open source project called WinGet UI, which provides a user interface to manage these updates. It can also run automatically and run the updates automatically for you, or it allows you at least to see the list and control it. a very, very convenient way of managing software on your machine, on your Windows 11 machine. And it is easy to install it because all you need to do using WinGet that is already there, you open the console and you type WinGet install WinGet UI, and you have the UI installed. So I would really, really recommend anybody running Windows 11 uh, download WinGet UI and start using it and start keeping your software updated. Not every piece of software will be successfully updated by it. Sometimes there are issues because, unlike, let's say, Ubuntu or Debian, who manage their own software repositories, here uh, it is sort of a wild west of packages that are grabbed from different sources, and there's this WinGet acts as this centralized repository pointing to all of these. So it's less than perfect, but it's still much more convenient than any other solution out there. So
Hmm.
keeping software is important when we're talking about 0-day vulnerabilities and stuff like that. The immediate action is to update the software you have installed. With WinGet, you get a list of what do I have already updated and what doesn't, what has an update, and it has the benefit perk of I want to install something. Do I need to go to the website, download the setup, and run the wizard? Or do I just search within the WinGet UI whether that software already exists in the list? And I just double click it and it'll install it for me. So i- it's a it's like a Microsoft Store interface, right? For WinGet, which has a lot more content than Microsoft Store because it's open.
Yep.
WinGet space install space WinGet UI, one word, and you're off to the races. So really recommend that one. Been working with it for a couple of months now, and it has saved me a lot of clicks and uh, a lot of guesswork from software updating process.
It can be tricky sometimes to update
Yeah, and
software.
this streamlines the
Yeah.
process, which
Yep.
is really what
Which
this
makes
is about.
sense.
I do want to discuss a peeve. Uh, 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 I think it's a pet peeve of mine. Windows, from time to time, with every feature they introduce, they sometimes hijack your precious keyboard shortcuts, and that drives me nuts. The latest of these, around April, the update from April, introduced a new print screen process. So if anybody's running Windows 11, I'm guessing they're all updated by this point. If you press print screen right now, you'll notice that you can choose a section of the screen. Uh, this is all they they've introduced a new snipping tool that is baked into the OS and works by default. And when you click print screen by default, you can select a region instead of it grabbing the entire screen automatically. The thing is that if you already have your own screenshot tool that you prefer, right, print screen isn't going to work on that tool. The only way to disable it is through the accessibility keyboard settings. So a very unintuitive location for that. So if you do not want the native Windows 11 print screen solution, which is fine, right? I just choose another tool, and I was bugged that it's not using the tool I want. So just through your start menu, go to configuration, and then go to accessibility and keyboard, and there's an option there to disable uh, print screen using the new snipping tool. Something I encountered this week on how to fix, and I thought this is worth sharing.
Okay. All right. Thanks for the info. Thanks. All right.
Welcome, welcome.
Netflix's 25-year-old delivery service for DVDs in the red envelope will go dark on September 29th.
Oh no! What will
But,
we do?
but that delivery service final remaining customers can opt in to potentially receive up to 10 extra discs. Let's have some fun for the finale, says an
they
email from
wanna.
the company.
That's
What?
nice. Yeah, they wanna. They need to get rid of the discs,
Yeah,
right? So,
absolutely.
yeah, order them up.
uh, though Business Insider points out that customers won't know what movies they'll get.
Uh
The
yeah.
films
Oh,
will
that's
be
dumb.
chosen from what's in their queue.
Oh, that's fine. As long as it's from the queue,
Well,
completely fine. You
Recommended.
remember how it worked, right? Let's remind for those who haven't ever used it. This is the service that basically killed Blockbuster, right?
Blockbuster,
if
and
you
there was
remember.
another service.
Video.
They offered
something.
Blockbuster to buy them,
Yeah.
right? And Blockbuster refused.
Yeah.
So understand this. The service it's genius. So simple. You build a queue of movies you wanna watch, and they ship them depending on the package that you bought. They ship them 1, 2, 3 at a time, right? And when you're done with them, you put them back in an envelope. They ship it with a return envelope. You put it back in the envelope, and once it gets to them, they send the next batch. Very simple process, and that's basically the first movie streaming service, right? It's just with hard copy.
Mhm.
And the
Very,
thing,
very
the thing
simple
that
system.
they, I remember when they first came out, and the thing that they advertised that compete against Blockbusters is they said no late fees. You could keep the
Right.
DVD as long as you wanted, but you wouldn't get any more unless you returned it.
Exactly. Which is very simple, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what are they going to do with all those DVDs now? Are they just going to have like a warehouse
They're
sale?
going to let you keep him. 10 of them.
Oh,
Right. And they're adding 10 to the shipment, right? So any 10 from your queue that they have in stock, you will get shipped. And usually people manage queues that are longer than what they have experienced. So it's like a nice surprise from Netflix in the mail. It's
that's cool.
yeah.
All right. And talking about Netflix and streaming stuff, there was something about text broken promises. Streaming is now just as expensive and confusing as cable.
Yeah.
Yep.
Ubers cost as much as taxis,
Yeah.
and the cloud is no longer cheap.
Eh,
That's
Cloud
it's
was never cheap.
yeah.
That part is always bugged me. The cloud was never cheap. Like compared to buying your own server and running it on your own, right? It was never cheaper on the cloud. That's why I never understood why the cloud took off so successfully. I do understand the technical benefits, right? The fact that somebody else is managing this for you for a fee, right, is very convenient. You do not need necessarily the same IT skills. You can start looking at the cloud as a service and do things that just running on your own would require so much extra work that paying that premium to a third party makes it very, very convenient.
Oh.
Still costs money,
Mhm.
and it still costs more than running it on your own.
I think
I'm
it's
talking
interesting.
including wages, right? It's not. It still costs more.
I think too, it's a little bit different how what cloud services are doing. They're not offering a cheaper alternative. They're offering a completely different alternative. Like for
Right.
instance, with Uber is directly competing with taxi cabs.
Mhm.
They offered a cheaper solution for a better service. I'm putting that in quotes. And then streaming services, a cheaper solution to cables. Like that's directly related. With the cloud services, you're competing with a user buying their own server, setting it up, and like doing it themselves. Versus, I feel like they're separate. It's not even though they're similar. It's not. There's not like an alternative. It would be different if it was like a cloud service brick and mortar, and then Google came out with their cloud system, like kind of like a segue, like a sidestep. Like all these other things are kind of sidesteps or evolutions.
Well,
Um,
that happened. That's still happening, right? But it so um Amnon's service, right? That was brick and mortar ISP.
Right.
And at one point, he transferred that, right? Instead of him managing those physical servers that were in a data center somewhere,
Mhm.
right? He transferred that to the cloud,
yeah.
right?
When you
And
compare it to the list that Amnon just said, I don't think it's a direct comparison.
um,
Okay.
I
Alright,
think
no,
I
yeah,
think
yeah,
I think
she's right.
that's the thing. They're becoming a direct comparison. It started out as, hey, we have this new novel way of doing things. Oh, and it's cheaper, right? And now it's we have this other way, and it's not cheaper. It's just another way.
No, that's what I'm saying. You're
Yeah,
that the other things that the list that Amnon just read were started out as cheaper
yeah,
alternatives. The cloud isn't a cheaper alternative, it's just an alternative. So,
right.
like, and that's what you said. So,
Yeah.
I'm saying I'm agreeing with you that it kind of doesn't fit within that list because it's something that's geared differently than the list that I'm then just listed. Like we can go on and on about how what you just said, how similar they are, and they are similar. But as far as his list, I don't think the cloud services could be grouped with Netflix versus Blockbusters and Uber versus cabs.
Okay.
Maybe.
Uh,
I mean,
So,
they definitely do not point. They do not solve a consumer issue in the same way. So I
Yes,
agree. Yeah.
yes.
so
so I saw something interesting this week. Disney is stopping all of their physical media production, and they are not going to be uh, producing Blu-rays and DVDs for any of their new content. And why that is relevant and the areas in which it's relevant is Australia, where I didn't know this. I had a friend that visited Australia, was there for about 3 weeks. A vast majority of that country does not have internet available. I mean, like they would go 2 or 3 days driving where there is no cell phone service.
phew,
Um, and it's interesting to see that Disney would be Disney, and now obviously a similar thing with Netflix is just kind of pushing all of that stuff to the side. There's still a large market for physical media in these areas where there is no cell phone service available. There is no broadband
mhm.
available.
But
Um,
then
and
my question to that is if there's no internet, then how are they gonna order the Netflix? Like,
it's not that
order
they
the DVDs?
I mean, they have internet. It's just very sporadic and not
You cannot stream on it,
yeah, I
but
mean,
you
like for example, Katie, they might have internet at work, right? So that's where you're managing your subscription or whatnot, and then it's coming to your house, or you're driving to the
Mhm.
city where you have cell phone service. But the fact that Disney is not producing any more physical media, I think, is very interesting.
Well, keep in mind, if you read that, it's probably about the US market.
No, this was
Uh,
specifically about the Australian and New Zealand market.
Interesting. That
Yeah,
is
Disney
interesting because,
discontinues physical media for entire continent.
I guess they didn't make any money from it, or nobody ordered it. Like,
Well, you
well,
just you look at the times and you see, is this worth what we're putting into it? And the thing is,
right.
how how much can it really cost to press a DVD, put it into the cheapest, flimsiest piece of plastic in the world and slap it in an envelope?
well,
It's not very expensive.
I'll
Um,
tell you what we'll find out very soon is that they're battling piracy in Australia, right? Because people will download the movies, burn them into
Yep.
physical media, and sell them,
Yes,
right?
which is going to
They
make it a
created
lot
a market.
harder.
That
Well,
sorry,
well,
what you talking about Australia made me think about this documentary I watched about Cuba, and the documentary was talking about how only certain citizens or whatever have internet, and there's this whole black market on media and streaming services. And so, and granted, this documentary is probably like 5 years now, so I don't know if it's probably different now. But these people would set up these hotspots or whatever, and they would download they specifically for this guy American TV shows, and he put them on USB drives. And like Netflix, he would mail out the USB drives to his customers. And so so the guy that was interviewing him were like blown away that the people were up to date on the latest US TV shows, like talking about Game of Thrones and all that stuff. And it all came from this guy's like garage that he was just burning things onto his USB stick and then sending them out. So that's probably what's gonna happen in
There's
Australia.
there's a geek term for that. It's called sneakernet,
Yeah.
which means network by sneakers. Because you go to one physical location, you take
Boots on
it
the
out, and then
ground.
you move it to
Yeah.
another physical location.
That's exactly what he said. And it was so crazy. He had like he had his whole setup where like at any moment he could just like tear it down and put it in his suitcase and just like run away.
amazing. Even in communist Cuba, free market capitalism is still alive and well. People
I
want the
mean,
content; they'll
Game
get
of
access
Thrones,
to it.
baby. It was a good show. They
I'm ju-
need to
it's just amazing that even under that kind of regime, people still want the they want the content. There's a way to get it. Not
Yep.
legal, but there's a way to get it, and somebody's
Yep.
profiting off.
And there are the providers who know how to make money.
Yeah.
Very
So
Yep.
it's I'll post the link in
Yeah.
in the chat here for that Disney story. It just well, and Gal, on the flip side of what you mentioned with piracy, on the other side of it, now you're going to have less physical media to rip. So there won't that the Blu-ray rip of said movie or television show is going to be harder, right? It's going to be web streams instead of Blu-ray rips, because there's not going to be the Blu-rays that are available.
Yeah, but you get 4K from the streams. So
If you can, yeah.
I think Blu-ray max at 1080p. No,
No, there's
yeah,
4K
there's 4K
Blu-rays.
format. Yeah, I've never
Yeah,
used Blu-ray, so
neither
I
have
don't
I.
know.
Here's the
Um,
thing that I've seen is I've seen some movies that were in theaters, not released anywhere else, and they were online that you could download and stream or watch, obviously illegally.
Right,
And
Amazon
and,
does that.
and they were crystal clear. And so I don't know if that means that the people at the movie theaters are taking the files, the movie files, and burning them, or whoever in between before it get releases onto DVD or on streaming services. Because at that point, I could see how it'd be easy to rip it.
No, some production companies today, they release to cinemas and digital in parallel, and the moment they stream on an Amazon service for pay, for example, then somebody can rip it.
Not somebody
And
can, somebody
right,
does.
yeah, that's what happens. The moment it's available on digital
No, but
anywhere,
that's what I'm asked or wondering about though. If there is no digital file, it goes straight to the movie theaters and pop. I guess it is a digital file because they don't have films anymore, like
right?
film rolls. Then somebody within that pipeline takes it
Oh
and
yes, always. But that's the cam and the telescreen versions.
mm,
The cam and telescreen versions. So cam is somebody with a camera is holding and filming what's on screen, and the audio comes from that camera. And telescreen TS, if you've ever downloaded a file and you encountered these notations, then that's what it means. The telescreen means somebody put a camera that can convert. It's basically lens to lens, grabs the maximum quality it can from the other lens, uh, from the other lens, and audio is synchronized via direct hookup to the audio system. So crispy audio and a pretty decent image quality. But what you're describing about crystal clear usually is about it's about digital media available in parallel to screening, right?
All right, and talking about digital content, Amazon has launched a new Fire TV Channels app, giving Fire TV customers, you listening, Saeed, access to over 400 free ad-supported TV fast
Wow.
channel,
It's
including
like what Plex does, right?
yeah, but here
Like what?
including ABC News, CBS Sports, Fox Sports,
Yeah,
MLB, Martha Stewart, and more.
it's all the same.
Alongside the app launch, the company also announced new content providers such as Variety, Rolling Stones, The Hollywood Reporter, Billboard, GameSpot, Looper, and Funny or Die, among others.
Yeah, those are
Amazon,
web-based content. Yeah.
yeah,
These
Amazon
are
will
all
continue
IPTV
adding
channels.
more fast channels over time, the company wrote in a press release. First introduced in May, Fire TV channels are available on Fire TV branded smart TVs and streaming devices.
So you can get it on Roku?
No, that's for Fire
Yes.
TV. That's a
Well, you can't get the Fire TV service, but all of those channels are the IPTV channels that are available on the
Oh.
Roku free TV. They're on the Plex free TV.
Okay.
They're on Vizio's SmartCast thing. They're all very
ABC as
similar.
well?
Yeah, it's called ABC News Now. Or it's called it's ABC's got one, NBC has one, and Fox has one, and they're
I've
like they're IPTV loops essentially.
this sounds like similar to what Roku TV is. Excuse me,
Yes,
that
very
free
similar.
channel. I've actually been watching it recently, because they have some of the shows that I like to watch, and they're older seasons. They're not new, but that's fine. And what I think is happening, I haven't really been paying attention, but I think is they're doing like a preview, like whoever has the rights to these shows are like, here's the first 5 seasons of this show. You can watch it on Roku TV, but you only have a certain amount of time to watch it. And so I'll just put it on in the background while I'm working, and then it'll recommend some other stuff that are just like teasers to try things. And I actually have been enjoying it, watching the little teasers.
Alan mentions Fox Weather. That is I'm sure that's on there too. That's an IP only feed as well that is available on all of the various free TV stores. Fox Weather's great.
So it's not a replacement for on-air TV,
It
right?
is not.
Because there's a lot of content that isn't available, but just the news stuff and stuff like that, right? Interesting.
Yeah, and they all have this. Fox is called
Yeah.
Fox News Now. NBC's is called something else. CBS has got one. It's
Oh.
So
it's
basically,
interesting.
it's Plex's move, right, from a couple of years ago.
Yeah, and it's exactly what is available. I mean, like my Vizio has a thing called Watch Free. That's like there's a button on the remote for it, and it's the same thing. It's just an IP TV catalog list.
Mhm.
There's some decent stuff on there, like Katie mentioned, stuff to put on in the background. It's noise, and there are a couple of channels like Fox Weather that are actually live and not like reruns of just like the ABC News ones. It's they'll run the nightly ABC national news, like 2 hours after it airs or whatnot, and it's just a playlist loop of content.
Huh.
Yeah, they're all doing it because there's a lot more people that are any TV you buy now is a smart TV, and they all come with these watch free built right into it. And for a lot of folks, that's suitable enough. If they don't care about watching live sports, that's good enough. You don't really need anything else. And there, as you mentioned, there's 400 freaking channels. Everything from video games to gardening stuff, all just on a loop. It's a very
Yeah, well, that's what
OTT
Plex
transmission is very interesting.
Plex did that couple of years ago, and when
Yeah.
they added, I don't know
Yeah.
how many thousands of channels,
Hundreds of
yeah.
channels. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very cool.
And as
Yeah.
far as streaming for the rural areas, the administration on Monday continued its push toward internet for all by 2030, announcing about $667 million in new grants and loans to build more broadband infrastructure in the rural U.S. In other words, they're going to pay CEOs a bunch of money.
Look, I love the initiatives. Every
Yeah.
time I'm up, I love them. There's a problem, right? And the problem is that unlike RF broadcasting, right? Uh, Getting coverage like that is going to cost, and it's going to cost a lot, and there needs to be an understanding. The problem starts when the politics is usually around either when the program starts or when it's coming close to the end of the funding and another round of funding needs to be evaluated, right? And every time that there is a round of funding, there are less and less locations to cover because some of it was covered from the previous round of funding.
Hopefully, yeah.
Right. And it always takes about 80%, right? The 80-20 rule, 80% of the effort for the last 20% of the work. And that is going to go lower and lower in terms of coverage and higher in terms of cost because these areas are going to be harder and harder to get to. The cycle of news around this is never going to end because every time we come up with a broadband technology breakthrough, then it needs to be deployed everywhere again, right? So I don't know. It's like and specifically, especially after moving to the US, this country does not like this type of news. It's a huge country, right? As a federal a federation of states, uh, none of the states like to get this type of notice, even if it comes with money. So it's like, yeah, this is it's always a shit show, always.
Oh,
On all levels, by the way. It's not just because of the
right.
government
Yeah.
stating that, right? It's like every player in this arena just makes it a complete shit show.
Here's another glitch. An X glitch wipes out most pictures and links tweeted before December 2014. Yeah, it's a glitch.
Well, it is a
Sure.
glitch.
No, it's
Yeah,
not.
somebody hit delete by accident or
Yeah,
something.
right.
Yeah. Or a hard drive died and it wasn't backed up. I mean, I agree. It just
Yeah.
how much did he pay for the company?
He's trying to save. He doesn't want to buy another external drive.
Oh man, yeah. That's the
Yeah.
thing. It took over and it suddenly became this old school mom and pop show, right? Like a small business that runs on its last breath. I
We'll
don't
wait
know.
and see. We don't know that yet. And here's switching here. IBM's Business Research Organization released results from a new global study, and its conclusion: the world of work has changed compared to even 6 months ago. Executives surveyed estimated that 40% of the workforce will need to reskill as a result of implementing AI and automation over the next 3 years. That could translate to 1.4 billion of the 3.4 billion people in the global workforce, according to World Bank statistics. Respondents also report that building new skills for existing employees is a top talent issue. So they are seeing big difference in the way business runs.
We were talking about this 6 months
Yeah.
ago.
Well,
Or a year ago, whenever we started talking about AI, we said that if people didn't get with the program, they were gonna get left behind. And it's the responsibility
yeah,
of the employee, if they wanna stay on top of their game and in a world that revolves around technology, they need to be familiar with the latest technology and tools. So this doesn't come as
but
a surprise.
Amen, Katie. Say it again for the people in the back.
Like,
but the thing is also that they were talking about that the first jobs that are going to have to reskill are clerical. They are clerks are going to have people that work in an office, not they have no skills to do
I mean,
anything else.
We
They
used
will
to have
have
typists.
yeah,
CEOs used to have people follow them around and just type because they couldn't type. I
Yeah.
mean, those jobs went away 30 years ago.
I will say, so my sister starts her college this week, and she was saying that they changed their policy about AI. Now they're offering, I don't know if it's a class or if or if it's a seminar, how to incorporate AI into their life and how to utilize it and how to like treating it as a tool. So instead, and like when I was in school, I took a class on how to use Windows Excel. Well, now there's classes available on how to use AI because it has changed so drastically over the past few months, over the summer about people's. I feel like people are finally waking up and realizing like, hello, we can't like we're doing a disservice by not trying to utilize this tool
hmm
because our businesses are gonna use it, and then the kid like for the colleges, the kids that are graduating that don't know how to use the tools are gonna be behind the curve.
Gal, what is your opinion?
I mean, they're not wrong that the landscape is changing, but their assessment that the if people do not change their habits in the next do not relearn things in the next 3 years, they'll become obsolete. I think it's not 3 years. I think it's more like 15. Just comparing. I remember the same type of concerns when computers became more prevalent back in the 80s.
hmm
It took 30 to 40 years, right, to get to the situation we are today. The You know what? Let's go back 1991. I think that's when internet starts being widespread and commercial instead of just a niche thing for universities, right? And and up until 2005, 2006, internet was a toy, right? Nobody really understood it except the big organization that put a lot of investments, right? The Amazon that started as a makeshift book broker, right? Because that was really what they did. They advertised the catalog without stock, and they went to the bookstore next door to buy the books and ship them, right? That's how they started. So it took a long time for these organizations to define what using the internet means and how that affects day-to-day commerce, day-to-day life. I do not think AI will compress it that much, but I might be too old school to see it. I don't know.
Well, I'm gonna counter argue um, what you just said. I totally agree and acknowledge that the computers took forever and internet and all that stuff. But this jump to AI isn't as drastic a jump as somebody that's never used a computer to using a computer and integrating into their workplace. This is more a minute software update. Um, and everybody's used to software updates. It's like a new way of thinking. I look at AI as like this is a new software or a new program that everybody's gonna start using. And in fact, it has replaced jobs. Coming from the marketing creative field, there's been whole departments that have been replaced by AI marketing tools. And uh, again, I feel like it's replacing. it- It's very specific on what it's replacing. Is it going to replace everybody? No, I don't think so. But if you're in the tech industry and you're dealing with software and programs and coding and all that stuff, I feel like 3 years. I feel like it's going to be less than like almost a year. It is going to replace people. I mean, it's already replacing coders. Like for instance, I for my work, I was making a landing page for a website, and I used to go in there and go and do the templates and stuff, or the templates that people would make and I would purchase. That's all made by AI now. Like I go in there and I tell Wix what I want or whatever software I want. I tell them, and then it makes the website for me. Like I don't have to pay for a template thing to build the website. I mean, that's already replacing the person that was the web developer. So, but that doesn't mean it doesn't have to replace the web developer. It just means that the web developer needs to learn how to use AI to make his or her job more efficient.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like this is different. I don't think you can compare having no computers to all of a sudden the world having computers, because it's a more minute change. Like it's in everybody has a computer now, or most people have computers, and I'd say most people have the internet. This is just like another layer of that.
Well, it's it like just like you guys were saying in the beginning. It's a it's a tool. The thing is that the coders today, or the typist, or whatever, wherever AI comes into place, it helps the person, but in many cases, it helps the person above, like the
The
business owner
business.
says, okay, now how can I save money so it can help me do a better job at my company? Well, I can get rid of these 10 people and use AI to do it. It depends on the company. Obviously,
Yeah.
you're not going to be able to use AI to serve people food in a
Yeah.
restaurant, in a high class restaurant. I mean, it's not gonna.
Yet.
No, well, yeah, right. Yeah, I was gonna say
They do
not.
have I've seen fancy restaurants that have robots that deliver. Have you seen those robots at hotels where they order room service and a robot comes
Well,
to
you
your
see,
room?
but that's
I've
not the
seen it on
same.
video.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I agree with you on that.
So, but there are companies and there are trades or whatever that you need to look and you need to be aware. Well, yes, a robot, quote unquote, AI can do a better job or can do my job. Now, how do I work with AI to make my product, my what I produce for the company, more interesting, more appealing? Because if you just let AI do it, or you let a good head sit there and manage the AI, or let the AI help them, I think, and I don't know it because I never done it. I think that the material that's going to come out from a combination of person AI is going to be a lot more interesting, uh, better, whatever you want to call it, than just AI doing it. Because remember, the AI is getting the information out there where it's already there. There's no creativity.
Mhm.
So, yeah, it's going to take time. And, one of these days, we may see a lot of people doing other stuff.
You know,
There, there's
sorry.
no creativity, right? But a lot of creative work, what we call creative work,
Yeah.
is not necessarily as creative as it was uh, published, as we thought of, right? There's a lot of, even if you look at Katie here, our resident artist, right? when she had somebody commission her to do something, she would go into the set of tools that she already had made, her own arsenal of images and styles and stuff that she created, right? And
Right.
she would provide a solution that is based on her previous accrued knowledge. These AI tools, right? They just already tap to what everybody else has done,
Mhm.
right? That is a lot of one type of creative work. There is another type of creative work where total creativity comes in, where imagination creeps in, right? And it's a mixture of that skill and creating something completely new, a novel idea.
Yeah.
And even there, AI tools, they act as a tool for a creative mind, but they have separated, right? They have created a complete separation, and that did happen in the past 6 months for sure. And I acknowledge that completely. They have created a complete separation between those who would work at it, the artisans, right, and the artists, those who are completely creative. And there is now these are now there's almost no overlapping anymore, and at all, not even in the public perception of it. And so that's why a marketing team like Katie mentioned, right, can be replaced completely by AI, because what they did was usually very, very derivative and not creative, not in the new sense of the word creative,
Hmm.
of something that AI cannot create out of nothing, right? And that's what we're facing today.
Mhm. I wanted to add that AI so having been exposed to it for like over a year now, and the people that are similar to me that have also been exposed to it, we can spot um when somebody hands us something that has been AI generated, because like a person, a when a person has a certain way of speaking and a certain way of typing, and you kind of develops their own personality or whatever,
Hmm.
and I can see that reflected in work. And the example is at work, we're working with a outside company to help with branding guidelines and all that kind of stuff, and some of the work that they turned into us, the wording was very AI generated, and we're looking at this and we're like, this was generated by AI. So I feel like where people's talents, if they get smart about it, is that they use the AI like we've been talking about as a tool, but then everybody else is going to get wise to, well, this sounds AI generated, or
Hmm.
it's the same reason why if a kid does something, you read it and you're like, okay, a kid did that, and so people are going to need to take that and then turn it into an actual human that wrote this. People are very smart when they read something. Generally, like if you read something, you be like, oh, well, this was written by that kind of person or this kind of person or whatever. Um, but
So
yeah,
I, uh, you said this was written by an AI, right?
yep,
That's how it felt.
yep,
Was it written by AI, or did the AI source on their style? Keep that in mind. That's definitely something. And the reason I'm saying it, I was on the other end of receiving criticism that what I wrote felt like AI when I did not use AI,
interesting.
right?
Uh huh.
Yeah, I was in an interview, and they gave me a sort of a technical homework task or something, right? And I wrote some code. And I know I do not write code in a very traditional way for that type of tasks.
Hmm.
And I used my own style. I have not worked in teams with this piece of code, so it's not like well established or anything like that. And one of the questions I had is, I don't know what tool you were using, and I didn't use any tool, right? I don't know what tool you were using, or maybe you looked into using some AI tools, but that was weird. And I gotta say, getting that criticism, right, made me realize that we are now at the point where we won't say this is stupid. We won't say uh, a child wrote that, right? Because that's too offensive, right?
Mhm.
But we'll ask, what type of AI did you use it? Which means, oh, you're stupid, right? It's a way of
Well,
accusation. Think about it.
yeah,
It's a
yeah,
way of pointing a finger without asking questions. It's like making a judgment.
yeah.
So
But for your code for that specific instance, you could take it as like, oh, it was so perfectly answered that it had to be a robot. Like a person couldn't have
no, they
thought of
had
it this way.
criticism about the way it was written. Seemed they said it's overcomplicated or something like that. I don't know.
Well, it sounds
Uh,
like they didn't know what
it
they were
was
talking
bullshit.
about.
It was a bullshit. It was definitely a bullshit note, right?
Yeah.
But because it didn't resonate with them, this was an AI. That's the thing,
I see.
right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And these
It's less
are
about
smart
AI
people.
and more of about people in power trying to not
I
know what they're
think
talking about.
Exactly.
what you're talking about here, and we really need to wind down. But I remember when we had a presentation about computer generated music years ago. It was probably in the 90s. And somebody who really knew their stuff was talking, and they were saying, you can tell right away if it's computer generated.
Hmm.
When somebody plays music, there will always be little subtle flaws.
Yep.
But when the computer does it, it's perfect all the time. There's no way that somebody can play like that.
Yeah,
Hmm.
but now it's
And
the other way
and
around.
well,
Now the thing is the AI creates is riddled with flaws, but flaws that a human
but
will not make.
well, anyway, all right. We really need to finish here. Is there anything else that
Yeah, always check the image, see if it has more than 5 fingers.
okay?
Yeah. 5 fingers. It has
Yeah.
the teeth in
Two
the right
limbs.
places.
Yeah.
2 eyes, unless they're wearing glasses, and they'll have 4 eyes. Hey.
All right. Well, thanks, Katie. Thanks, Gal. And I didn't even realize that Nick left
Yeah, it
us,
probably
but
had to drop.
he
Yeah.
said he had to go. Yeah.
He had a emergency potty break.
Yeah.
When you gotta go, you gotta go.
We gotta go. All right. So again, thanks. And good morning, Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Dana, Dina, Mati, Eleanor, Sarid, Yaakov, and Yael. Thanks, everybody, for tuning to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together here. Remember to practice safe computing. Update your virus scanner, back up your hard drive, change any same passwords that you're using anywhere. We'll be back here next Sunday at 9, but you can always reach us at computers2know.com. Did I say Saturday? No, I said Sunday. And remember again, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., Nick is on Wilmington's 980 The Wave and 107.9 FM with his daily news and commentary show. You can tell your Echo device to play 980 The Wave, or you can go later to nickcraig.com and listen to the recordings. And Tuesdays at 7 p.m., Nick and Brian do the Infection Podcast on Twitch. Gaming, survival games, news, and political points and commentary. 7 p.m. Tuesdays. Twitch.tv/Infection Podcast. Take care, everybody. Have a great week. Bye.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archive section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.